What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? We're going to be getting going here in about 15 minutes. But we are going to be getting this going. Let's get the music tunes going. Sorry, I was having some issues with OBS. I think we're good, though. Check, check, check. Okay, cool. Rafiq said, perfect time here for the music. Hey, I'm here for all of you guys. Nice to jam some tunes before we get going. We got a lot of interesting news today. Things kind of oscillating around. Is it all FUD? Is it all just hopium? I don't know, but we're going to be breaking down the charts. We're going to be breaking down some of the news, talk about where things are going. Got some good announcements going too. Some announcements to share, I should say. Hope everybody's feeling grateful this morning. If you're not, think about something that you're grateful for. You're alive. Presumably you have some friends and family. If not, you got us here. This is a community. This is what this is about. This is not just charts and crypto. This is life. We are a community here. We talk about all things and how trading and investing also is a little bit of I can never say that word. Analogous. There's a word. To how we operate in our everyday life. Fear, hope, greed, FOMO. We need to understand how these things are affecting our decision making. Are we reacting to things or are we responding? Also, what are we grateful for? If you do a little practice of a moment of gratitude every day, you will start your day happier. You will operate better, more effectively, more efficiently. So let's get involved, everybody. You got 32 people in the room. Every single one of you should be hitting that like button. And subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. Let's get these subscriptions back up. Big love to each and every one of you. Also, make sure you sign up. If you have not signed up yet for the BitGet, sign up for BitGet if you're anywhere international. I know it's a little bit of a little bit troublesome if you are in the US. But we have a trading team. I'm going to share that link right here. Make sure you sign up through our affiliate link, which is directly below the video. You'll see the brought to you by BitGet, and there's a link. Sign up for an account. Add one more account. Diversify how you have your account set up. That way, you have multiple different accounts on multiple different exchanges. If one of them ever has issue, you have your funds spread across different accounts. And also make sure you head over to sign up. I'm going to type it right now. Sign up for our trading team. After you sign up with an account, sign up for our trading team. I think there's a little over $2.6 million in prizes on BitGet here. I'm gonna pin this. Join our trading team for show. We're going to show people how it's done. I like that. Rock and Metal News is grateful for my sight, my hearing, my family. We forget about the most common things that we have on a daily basis. We forget to practice gratitude to have fingers and toes and legs. I mean, I don't know if you guys know. Some of you do, some of you don't. But I broke nearly every bone in my body that matters. My arms, my legs, my pelvis. I was in the hospital for 3 months, coma for a month, casting crutches for 8 years. Yes, you heard it correctly. I've had roughly 80 surgeries. So anytime I stand up, sometimes if I'm out dancing or back when I was DJing a lot, or even if I go on a walking tour of a city when I'm traveling the world, I think, man, how special, literally wonderful it is that I'm, one, still alive, but have the blessing of mobility. So we always have something to be grateful for, even when we think times are hard or tough. Big love to everybody here. Where's everybody tuned in from? We do this regularly, but let's do it again. We might have new people here. Where are you tuned in from? What are you doing? Do you listen or watch while you work? Are you chilling in bed watching on your phone? Are you have the phone in your pocket while you're out doing errands? Let's see where people are at and what they're doing. Got Michigan in the house, Minnesota, Los Angeles, Vancouver, Oregon, San Francisco. Driving to work, Kingston Crows says. Well, Crimson Caravan says, isn't reacting to something just you responding to certain stimuli? Well, yes, but you have an option to react, which means it's something that you don't have control over. You can always have an internal reaction. Allow yourself to, but you will always have a more effective outcome, more meaningful outcome if you're able to pause even for just a split second and respond to whatever's going on. Think about it in the charts. If you react to price action, you're going to be reacting from an emotional, sort of undertone. If you see what's happening, react emotionally within yourself, address that, and then choose what your response is going to be. Same thing in life. It will always be better. Lubbock, Texas, says Justin Eubank. Delivering Amazon like a great value Santa. You know what? Port Nocturnal. I think the delivery drivers in America that's what really drives America these days. The people out there delivering all these packages, because there's been so much of a shift of commerce to being the delivery economy. So shout out to Port Nocturnal. Got California, Randall Dance. All gas, no brakes is Pupusas Alegrande. I guess that's the name. Big love to everybody here. We'll be getting going here in about 5 minutes. Bit Voodoo nailed it on the head. React internally, evaluate, and respond. All right, we got pre-show roll call right now. Everybody in the room, throw up your lab coats, throw up a couple alts you may want to see. I know Maker's been making some moves. Link's been performing quite well. What else you guys have been seeing out there? Have you seen any setups that we need to make sure we're taking a look at? We're going to be looking at news. We're going to be looking at charts, and we're going to be doing TA. So do not just dip out because you don't want to hear what's going on in the news. The news gives us context as to where a bias may be leaning in these assets that we're trying to trade. So everybody hit that like button. Let's get ready to get this going. Let's everybody get engaged. Let's stay positive. And let's do what we do here at BitLab Academy, and that's bring this community together, bring the news to you, talk about it, see what's going on in the charts, and break down this TA so we can know what the hell's going on and we can respond to it rather than reacting because we're unaware. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome to the BitLab Academy daily stream. Great to see you here. My name's Kellam. Welcome to the show. We're going to be breaking down the news, crypto news. Are ETFs about to be approved next week? If so, which ones? How does that impact the markets? And a bunch of other news we got to talk about for context. Then we're going to be diving into the charts. We're going to be talking TA, and we're going to be looking for stuff going on. Now, we got a bit of a change up coming to BitLab Academy in terms of the YouTube. We got some adjusted times that we're going to be doing. We're going to be changing some things up. I believe, I'm not entirely sure yet, but I believe it's going to start next week. It may start the week after. But so just pay attention for that. We're still going to be doing multiple forms of content on here on a daily basis. But I just want to let you know the main show may be moving to a little bit later. But I'll be telling you more about that as we identify exactly what that time is. I'll still be doing a morning video, but the morning video I think is going to be a bit more of a 7 to 10 minute video, and then a midday video, and then potentially periodically throughout the week, I should say, an afternoon trading video. Now, on the note of trading, if you haven't yet, hit that. If you're anywhere outside the U.S. Or if you're a U.S. citizen but also have citizenship somewhere else, make sure you click on that link down below. Join us on BitGet, trade with us on BitGet. And once you sign up and create through our link down there, you'll see in the pinned comments up above in the live chat, we do have a link there to sign to join our trading team. That's going to be, there's a big competition happening on BitGet, and it is going to be, I think about 2.6, if I'm not mistaken, around $2.6 million. It's a lot of money in prizes. So join us there. And again, how's everybody doing? How you feeling? Are you feeling grateful? If not, are you alive? Do you have a computer? Do you have your eyesight? Do you have all your digits, or at least two? You have two fingers. You can still operate a computer. You can still use a mouse. You can still hop in these charts and figure out what's going on. I just want to say I'm thankful for all of you. I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for my ability to comprehend what's going on and dive into it. I'm even more grateful to be able to do this here with all of you all. I appreciate you all. I love you all. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat, especially all of you that were here early. I want to see the chat go wild right now with lab coats. I want to see microscopes. I want to see your coins. Let's get this chat going. Every single person in the room, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. Let's dive straight into it. What are we talking about today? Let's just, you know what? I don't even think we need anything else on here. Let's talk about the first things. Oh, first things first is a blank screen. And what we're seeing here is a hexagonal shape for a backdrop as I am selecting the chart. For some reason, I suppose I restarted my computer. Let's see, right. Boom. Got it. All right. So right in here, what we were talking about today, ETFs, accelerated launch. Ethereum futures ETF may hit markets already or as early as next week, according to Bloomberg. There are some leaked documents that came out on all this. And so we see Hex is taking over, says academaciated. I guess that's what he says. Well, I'm not sure if you've looked at any of the tokenomics and the true things that makes something take over, but I can assure you from my analysis, I think that's a very, very far from possible. Will it be something that's good to trade? Potentially. It's out of the wheelhouse of anything that I'm interested in, but shout out to you. If you're trading it, you're making money, then more power to you. We got FOMO Sapien in the house, Daniel Massey, Alexandra G, Bit Voodoo, Cade Pulliam, Indy, Rock Crypto, Port Nocturnal, Falco. We got everybody in the house. Red Elephant was the first one in the room today. King Peasant, Crimson's girlfriend, Crimson's Caravan Company, Randall Dance. We got the whole crew in here. Brad Guy Dell. All right, let's go ahead and continue on with this. Ethereum futures ETF may hit markets already next week, according to Bloomberg. We already read that. The U.S., basically the SEC, is fast tracking potentially the launch of ETH futures ETFs to dodge the anticipated government shutdown effects. Now, my question is, when I see this, is it them making a smart choice about, you know, giving some sort of approval to something? Is it we are moving forward with broadening out the different range of products that we are approving out there for the crypto ecosystem, and we think this is great, and we want to, is it that, or is it that tied with, okay, we're stringing everybody along as long as possible with the Bitcoin spot ETF, which we already saw the courts rule that there's no reason why the spot ETFs should not be approved. In fact, we also saw yesterday all over the internet. I think a lot of you have seen it. If you haven't, just type in Gensler in Twitter and you'll see all the different video clips with Tom Emmer. And there's about 15 different House members that basically are kind of taking him to task. Like, what is the reason that you're not moving this? We saw the almost, it feels like a meme, but actual video clips of House members asking, you know, if Pokemon are securities, and if it would be a security if it was traded on a blockchain. And then in addition to that, we saw the members of Congress send a letter to the SEC urging them to push through the Bitcoin spot ETFs. And, you know, that was just met with an immediate denial for 21 shares ARK Invest ETFs. But now we see that the ETF, the futures, not spot, the futures ETF for Ethereum potentially getting pushed through quickly. Is this just a little bit of damage control? Hey, we got to give them something. I think that's more on the table than actually, this is great, let's do it. I think it has more to do with a little bit of a concession. All right, let's do something quickly. Since everything else we do, we don't have any timeliness with. We also saw the requests from Congress. We saw the requests from Congress that came in, basically re-emphasizing the fact that they've had Freedom of Information Act requests for those emails, those conversations, the communications between Sam Bankman-Fried and Gary Gensler, and they addressed saying at these House committee meetings, hey man, we put out all these requests months ago and there's nothing happening here. Are we going to be the first ones to subpoena the SEC? The funny thing about this, I talked about it last night on Around the Blockchain. The funny thing to me about all this is that there's all this pushback against Bitcoin and Ethereum and crypto assets in general, blockchain, when in reality, the crazy fact here that's so ironic is that blockchain is eternally and infinitely more transparent than anything that happens in the US government. And they're saying we need to limit what's happening here. Really? Really? Think about that. What's really going on? Who's paying these suckers off? I don't know. If maneuvered timely, the Valkyrie Bitcoin and Ether ETF is projected to debut as early as next week, spotlighting the SEC's proactive stance. This is who sculpted this? This is a narrative sculpture, unquestionably, spotlighting the SEC's proactive stance amidst regulatory tumult. What has been proactive whatsoever from the SEC and anything going on with digital assets? Does anybody throw a one in chat? Throw a one in chat if you think the SEC is moving proactive. Throw a 2222. You'll have to hit it 4 times if you think this is some absolute bull beep. Let me know your thoughts right now. And by the way, if you are watching anywhere else, the best spot to watch the BitLab Academy daily stream is right here at youtube.com/@BitLab Academy, or you can just type in the search bar, type BitLab Academy. Come and join us. Hit that subscribe button. Join it. I want everybody watching right now, look below the video. Does it say subscribed? If it doesn't say subscribed, join us here because we've got a wonderful community. Look at all those twos. Jeanette, how you doing? Jason Melander, FOMO Sapien, Dimple Paw, Papusas, Alagrande, I think that's actually how it said. Big Irish Crypto, Cape Pulliam, King Peasant, Crimson Caravan Company, Bit Voodoo. We got the whole crew in here. Big love to everybody. We got Scott B, Indie Rock. Is the SEC being proactive on anything other than bullying? Unfounded bullying? The SEC is a bully like a 2'1" first grader or elementary, preschool, whatever it is. Small child trying to bully Shaq. But they've got a rich father. They have a rich father, so they feel like they can go and push Shaq around. Bitcoin is Shaq. The digital asset space is, I mean, it's just this lack of clarity and lack of proactiveness. I mean, we just talked about even the story with FTX. What's proactive about, hey, I know right now with anything digital, if I need to pull records, all you do is type in, provide me, or you search specifically for emails, you search specifically, and you have that, you have all those assets that are requested, all those materials that are requested, near immediate, and then all you have to do is drag that attachment into either a compressed folder and send the folder, or send them on a shared drive. It's immediate. So if these things can be done immediately, and they're dragging their feet not only on the FTX stuff, but also with all these delays with the Bitcoin spot ETFs, what the hell is proactive about that? There's no proactivity here. It's a sham, I tell you. Now, I'm not even going to read through this any further. The whole point here is there's been some leaked documents that have shown from Bloomberg, and they're talking about getting the Ethereum futures ETFs pushed through by as early as this coming Monday to potentially not get held up by any potential government shutdown if it were to come. Question is going to be, is there going to be a government shutdown? Are they just gaslighting us up until the last minute on Sunday? Who knows? All we can do is look at the chart, figure out where we want to put our capital, and figure out how we want to allocate it between different assets, whether it's in TradFi or crypto. Even within crypto, we need that diversified portfolio to address the risk we want to take on, but also mitigate it by having exposure to it, but in a limited fashion, so that we can make sure that we can not only make money in these markets, but have access to those huge gains, but also not be fully exposed to huge losses because we're going full moon boy and throwing every dollar we have into something that's 400 down on the CoinMarketCap ranking. So let's go ahead and continue on through these stories. Next thing we want to talk about right here, block that. Okay, Bitcoinist says, Bitcoin, a recent hiccup, something just to pay attention to, understanding the invalid block. So Bitcoin is not perfect. We need to know that. This goes back to that talking point that we were just discussing, risk. Bitcoin it has proven to be the least risky asset in the digital ecosystem, but it doesn't mean it comes without any errors. Bitcoin miner Marathon Digital found itself in the spotlight when it inadvertently mined an invalid block at the height. It tells you essentially where in the blockchain this invalid block was on the Bitcoin mainnet. The blunder was attributed to a transaction ordering issue, as revealed by pseudonymous Bitcoin developer Spiral Giant recipient. Boom, boom, boom. The incident underscores the intricacies and potential pitfalls of blockchain technology. At the core of the issue was a transaction sequencing problem. Transaction A attempted to spend an input from transaction B, but here lies the crux. Transaction B ended up being included in the block after transaction A. The seemingly minor misalignment in the chronological order of the transactions rendered the entire block invalid. So this is important just to be aware of. Now, I'm not trying to share FUD. This is not even that big of a story. The reason why I'm highlighting this is it's important for us to know that all these digital assets that are out there, this is an emerging market, which is also why it is considered a risk. Is also why it's considered a risk on, a risk asset. So we need to pay attention to that risk narrative in the broader equities, traditional markets, and how Bitcoin and the digital asset world fits in with that, and how people are considering it when they're allocating where their capital is flowing. And when you see something like this doesn't mean just don't invest in the digital asset ecosystem. This means as safe as we can feel like Bitcoin is, there are issues. And if something were to, if we were to see 4, 5, 6 issues like this, then we need to start paying attention to where we're allocating our risk. This is the only reason why I'm pointing to this. So let's just have this in our mind so we can see if there's some sort of growing issue in the asset niche that we are investing. Only reason why I'm sharing this. AJ Dill says +1 Kelly. You know what, AJ Dill? Plus 37 AJ Dill. That's what I say to you. When Kelly starts to preach, popcorn, hearts, and tears. Well, big love to you. What's up, Granny's Garden? How you doing? Now, moving on to the next story here. This is interesting. Quite interesting, I do believe so. I say so myself. Bonds out, Bitcoin in. Now, this is a very important article. The context that surrounds this article, what it implicates, the trend. Remember, when we're trading and investing, we're paying attention to trend. We're paying attention to trend in our assets. We're paying attention to trends in risk narrative, the dollar index, Dow Jones, NASDAQ. Paying attention to what the trends are of capital flows, not only in our individual assets, but also in broader markets, so we can understand where risk is going, whether it's coming in, whether it's going out. And similarly, especially, actually, I should say, especially when we're considering what's going on with the institutions and smart money, not only on the other side of the world now in terms of how they're feeling and considering Bitcoin and digital assets, but we're seeing it literally on the horizon. We've seen over the last 2 years, large billionaire investors like Ray Dalio, like Bill Miller, like, I mean, the list is quite long. I forget the Mexican gentleman's name. Richest man in Mexico is getting very, very allocated into Bitcoin. We're seeing this trend start to pick up, but we're also seeing issues across the globe with not only inflation, but also with where do I put my money, where's trusted, but also how do I make sure that not only am I hedging against monetary debasement, but also debasement, meaning your dollar has less buying power. How do I protect myself against that? Have my capital in assets that are going to ensure that it stays at zero at minimum, but it doesn't go down. But more importantly, investors are not in the markets to have their assets stay at zero. Who Who does that? Nobody that is investing is hoping their asset stays basically at an equitable zero with no loss, most importantly, but also they're okay with no gain. Now, of course, if there's losses across everything, if you're holding at zero, great. But in every market, in every environment, there's always a way to make money, and investors are looking for that. That's why I think Bitcoin and digital assets are such an incredible asset class, because we can look to things like on-chain data analysis. We can see where money's being allocated. We can see, is long-term holders primarily holding right now? Is it disproportionately strengthened market, AKA long-term holders holding? Or are they selling? Are they taking profits and offloading their assets to weaker hands, AKA short-term holders, AKA retail, hype cycle buyers? If you have a disproportionate number of short-term holders in an asset, then there's weakness in that asset. It becomes top-heavy because they do not hold through volatility. There's cascading drops in price that happen very quickly because there's no strength there from people looking for longer-term upside. Now in Bitcoin, it's very interesting because with traditional assets, long-term is holding for, five years plus. The funny thing is about Bitcoin, we consider people long-term holders. I mean, on the on-chain metric side, it's, once you've eclipsed 155 days held, any portion of a coin, 155 days held, that goes into the long-term holder bucket, because statistically, Glassnode did and other on-chain analysts, data providers did a lot of statistical research and shown that once you eclipse that 155-day mark, that it drops off a cliff with the likelihood of those coins being sold. Now, in reality, if we think about this conceptually within cycles, people think holding anywhere near a bottom and selling anywhere past previous all-time high in that's a long-term hold. That is so out of context when we are thinking about traditional markets. If you're going to be a long-term holder in gold, that means, probably even 5 to 10 to 20 years. Bitcoin, you're holding for a year and a half. Super long-term, man. So we need to be aware of that. Much like when we did the interview with Gary Cardone 3 weeks ago, he mentioned, and all of you are aware of this too, timelines are shrinking across the board, especially in assets, especially with technology. Think about it. It took us from, having the phone, and I don't know what the date is, but when we had the phone, global culture, I mean, people started having phones in their home probably, I don't know the date, so don't quote me on this. Let's say the 20s. It was very few and far between, but then it really started becoming a phone in every home around the late 40s into the 50s, okay? And it took from then all the way until what? Everybody had a cell phone all the way until late 90s. Yeah, there were cell phones in the late 80s, early 90s. However, it took until the late 90s before it was like, okay, the majority of people have a cell phone. How long was that evolution? That evolution took forever. And then we had, internet kicking off in the mid 90s, and it took a while. And it really feels like it was like by 2000, but it really took until probably about 2005 to really be like a globally pervasive. This is something that cultures like. Computers are a necessity, as well as the internet. And we're also when Groupon came out, Groupon had, I think they were at that time the fastest company or grouping in a commercial space that went from basically no valuation up to over $1 billion. Felt like overnight. But then you have the advent of crypto, and you have the advent of, the technological boom is doing a parabolic increase or a decrease in time needed for these things to really take off. And so we have to pay attention to the shortening timelines, and which is why I think, it's interesting with Bitcoin, because a long-term hold, a position trade, as I like to call it, from somewhere near market bottom region to somewhere near a market cycle top in that, 4-year cycle, the halving cycle, that's a long-term hold. Under 3 years, which is crazy. So we want to understand where people's capital is flowing. And as the awareness goes to institutions and smart money, and they see monetary debasement, and they see inflation, and they see all this money printing in the US and other countries, runaway inflation going, more and more across the globe. The fact that it costs, I don't even know. We all know the increase in cost of foods and goods just in grocery stores alone. People are wondering, despite everything going on, and despite a little bit of ignorance on the part of Bitcoin and not really feeling comfortable with it because it's a new thing, it makes sense. But we're starting to see a shift. Let's talk about that shift because this is important. Bonds out, Bitcoin in. Bloomberg analyst predicts major portfolio shifts. What the hell are they talking about? Shout out to Alex Green. He says, everybody hit those like buttons, hit your subscribe button, ding the bell, join us in our family here. In a comprehensive evaluation of global market dynamics, Bloomberg intelligence analyst and chartered market technician, CMT, Jamie Coates, I'm not really sure how to say that. We'll call him Jamie C. Jamie C has opined on the shifting sands of financial asset volatility. So let's talk about this a little. Oh, I did not want to do that. Okay, I didn't lose all my, I thought I just lost all my highlights. I think that's supposed to say it. It looks like we're about to see a substantial uptick in volatility across all markets given where yields, US dollar, and global M2 are heading. Despite what lies ahead, there has been a big shift in the volatility profiles of global assets versus Bitcoin over the past years. A comparative analysis by Coates highlighted that since 2020, the volatility profiles of Bitcoin and gold have declined, while most other assets have seen an increase in volatility. Now, this is going to be interesting because I think this is going to be ever evolving because over the last year and a half, especially since December of this last year, yes, we pushed up about 87%. From the market bottom after FTX to the local top around $31,800. But remember, when we look at the price of Bitcoin, when we look at the price of Bitcoin, where is he? Come up here. When we look at the price of Bitcoin right here, from this spot over, from this spot to this spot, we essentially have range traded. We could actually even do a parallel channel here. Parallel channel, come across here, boom. Up to boom, and we could kind of bring this down like this. We have been consolidating. We've basically been consolidating, flushing out liquidity within this range between 24.7 and 31.8, 31.3. It's only been, we pushed up. If you look at the broader picture, this is rounding over, but the volatility has shrank. Now, this is obviously, I don't want to say obviously, this will very likely expand post-halving. Who knows? Maybe it will expand pre-halving. I'm still looking for a little bit of a move down into this zone. It doesn't have to happen. But the likelihood based on what's going on in the chart suggests to me, especially with market weakness, that this would be an excellent liquidity washout, final washout before we start working our way back up, potentially, or consolidating into the halving in April. If we were to break this level right here, this does not mean you go all in with 100x leverage because it's going to new all-time highs. This means that we've broken this and we still have this key level 28,980, which is the lows here from the point from which we broke down. So we very well could break this, but pay attention. Coming up to anywhere in this region is still a lower high and potentially coming down. Maybe this does that, comes down, finds a little bit of liquidity washout here and crabs into the halving and goes up. I'm looking to this zone right here because this will be an excellent opportunity to get some pricing down below $25,000 to make sure that we are fully loaded for the bull market. Would you be okay? Everybody in the chat right now, would you feel like it's out of context? Would it be frustrating? Would you feel underwater if the price action dropped down to the mid 23s or even upper $22,000 mark for Bitcoin? Would that bother you, or would you welcome it because you have a strategy and you want to get those lower prices? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Now, coming back over to this article, his breakdown indicates that a traditional 60-40 portfolio volatility is up by 90%. Nasdaq's volatility has surged by 53%, and there's like 7 or 8 stocks within that really did most of the performance there. A lot of these tech stocks and AI stocks and etc. And global equity volatility rose by 33%. Meanwhile, only Bitcoin's volatility decreased by 52%, as well as gold's volatility, which went down by 6%. So remember, this all has to do, we have to be aware of where we're at in the Bitcoin cycle, where we are in relationship to the halving, how price action tends to perform at this zone. And also be aware that Bitcoin has never had this sort of pressure on it going into halving and post-halving. Will we get a similar sort of bull market that post-halving, considering if a recession truly hits and we start seeing new lows on global equities and traditional markets? That's kind of the crux of everybody's, yeah, there's a halving coming and there's always a parabolic uptrend. Well, there's always been quantitative easing. When we've seen that, we haven't seen this sort of monetary pressure from the Fed's interest rates and all these different things that are causing pressures on the market. So while we have seen the volatility decrease by 53% for Bitcoin, I do think there's going to be an expansion in this. And remember, volatility increase does not mean upside for Bitcoin. Volatility increase means large movements out of context with the recent times. Great metric for this is when you're looking at Bollinger Bands or the BBWP, which is just a measurement of the width of those two bands. Is it very volatile or constricted and not volatile at all? That's what we're paying attention to here. So his breakdown indicates that traditional 60, blah, blah, blah. We just read all that. Okay. Couts further elaborated that following the hyper volatile phase of Bitcoin during 2011 and 2014, what does he mean by that? Hyper volatile. If you zoom out here, go on the weekly chart, come like this. Look, market bottom. I'd say that's pretty volatile, right? 63,000%. Let's see. Is it as volatile from the low here up to the top? 11,000%. Okay, shrinking. Okay, from the low here to the top, 2,300%. Okay, it's shrinking each time. Hyper volatile early stages. Why? You have to understand why. We don't just say, man, it was hyper volatile, because this helps you understand why people are so excited about altcoins, but why you also have to have tighter risk management. When you have less monetary energy, AKA the market cap is very low, it's easier to have explosive moves. Think of it like a matchbox car, like a little kid's, push around car with your fingers. If you push it with your hand, if you just hit it with your hand on a table, that car goes flying, right? If you walk up to the back of a semi and you hit it with your hand, does the semi even move? No. You would need to have another semi hit the back of the semi for that semi to actually, I'm talking about trucks for anybody that's international, large lorries or large, industrial style vehicles. You need to have a lot of mass to move a lot of mass. Similarly with projects and assets and companies, when you have a very large market cap or a much larger market cap than earlier in the life cycle of this asset, it takes a lot more money and energy to push and sustain that movements to the upside. Now we've seen decreased, basically the growth rate has decreased over time because it needs more monetary energy, but we also need to pay attention to the fact coming up to this next halving, which is right here somewhere around the middle of April, we have the gates that are about to at some point open to allow a flood, an absolute flood of new monetary energy to come into the space. New money, institutional money, retail's ability to not participate in the underbelly of crypto, aka trading on Kraken and KuCoin and Bybit and Femex and Coinbase. They can just have their financial manager just, hey, will you give me a 2% allocation to my 401k or pension funds? Let's add this for a little bit of risk. Huge access to new funds coming in. So I have two different theories about what can happen this next cycle. One is that we get a larger bull run from basically having up, let's see, in this case right here, this was from this zone to the top that we had there, about a 6x, 6.2x, 621%. I think we are either going to get a larger bull run in terms of the expansion from this level. We could even also look at it and from the previous all-time high. If we measure it in this capacity, we say previous all-time high, we go to this next all-time high. That's basically 2.5x. Okay, 2.5x from the previous all-time high. Now, when we look here from this all-time high, we go boom to this one. That's 16x. So are all the huge gains of Bitcoin gone? Will there still be explosive growth? Well, considering that we have all these US-based ETFs with trillions of dollars that will gain access. Now, remember, those 100% of that's not coming into Bitcoin. But we get 1%, 2%, 3%. That is billions, and in some cases, on the best prospects, hundreds of billions of dollars that will potentially be allocated into Bitcoin once these spot ETFs are approved. And what happens when then any sort of gains do happen and we get all that free press that happens every time we get into this zone right here, this zone right here, this zone right here? What do we see? Everybody talking about Bitcoin because they cannot believe prices got to that level. So on the one hand, we could see a larger Bitcoin bull market post-halving this time. But in the same breath, like everything in the world, there's always the other side of the coin. And the other side of the coin is because huge asset managers and smart money and all these people with the power and the monetary pressures that can manipulate, change, limit, suppress, or even bolster price in these large global markets, there's not a possibility that they don't have the ability to also do that in Bitcoin, especially considering Bitcoin has a much smaller market cap when you compare it to against something like gold or real estate or any of these other markets that they can basically, I don't want to say control, but they can help shape the narrative of where the price action is going. Because consider, will we get one huge boom post-halving? I don't think it's going to happen let me delete all this is. I don't think it's going to happen in the cycle after this one because there's going to be too many people involved. I think we're going to have a very explosive rally that happens post-halving, and it might take some time. It doesn't mean it's just going to go, it's not going to be halving and then just go straight up. I think very likely what's going to happen, much like we see in each one of these cases, is that we're going to get something like, where's my brush? Chop whatever in here. It's irrelevant to me what happens in this zone here. But post-halving, even if we get a little bit of a sell-off, at some point, this is going to really start working its way to the upside. Now, the question is it going to be like this, where we have this boom bust, blow off top is what we call it? Or is this going to be, if those market pressures are in this, and there are pension funds involved, and there are union funds, and especially as sovereign wealth funds, they don't particularly want boom and bust cycles. They want as sustained of growth as possible. But here's the deal. This is all speculation. I'm not saying it's going to happen one or the other. I'm prepared for either. Either way, the supply and demand dynamics of Bitcoin suggests that over time, this is going to continue doing this. Okay? I don't care the path that it takes to get there. I just care if my strategy is putting me in position to take advantage of the meat of the largest moves. That's my thoughts on all this. Now, coming back over to this, let's see where those winds are shifting. Bonds right here. Okay. Hypervolatile phase, early, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we talked about this. The cryptocurrency's volatility has been in a downward trajectory from a peak of above 120 in early 2018, which makes sense. Early 2018 is right after that absolute blow off top of around $19,000 in December of 2017, only to see what right here. We zoom in on this. Boom. This is what I'm talking about. Boom. This is the December 2017. Of course, volatility is going to be up because look at this expansion. We already just did the measurement. That's, it's a fairly large expansion of bulls, price action to the upside. A lot of volatility. The metrics, of course, is going to be high. And then look at this. Smaller moves constricting on the way down. A little bit of a big move, but a lot of consolidation. And then healthily working its way to the upside. So when we're considering this volatility, we have to pay attention to that because this can change over the course of, post-halving. However, Kautz maintains skepticism over Bitcoin's short-term prospects given the deteriorating macro environment. Given that Bitcoin volatility is near the bottom of the range, plus a deteriorating macro environment, US dollar is up, 10-year treasury yield is up, global money supply is up. It's difficult to see how Bitcoin and all risk assets can hold up with this setup. Now, here's the interesting kicker here. Bitcoin can add value as a risk diversifier and improve risk-adjusted returns. So in a way, all this just talk, it's just speculation, but this is something that I think is meaningful and we need to pay attention to because as smart money comes in, as money managers start getting onboarded and adopt the ethos or even the awareness of Bitcoin and adding it to part of their strategic navigation of global markets and including Bitcoin in their portfolios as what? A risk diversifier and improve risk-adjusted returns. This is going to be, this is what this article, this is the meat of it right here. Now, Bitcoin is a top bet against money printing. If allocators want to outpace monetary debasement, AKA your dollar in 1970, or let's say $10 of gas in 1970s, that $10 of gas in 1970s now would only get you the same amount that about $1 in today, you could still spend $10, but you're only going to get what $1 worth of gas would have been back in 1970 because of the debasement of the dollar, the buying power shrinking. So bonds are not the place to be. He identified Bitcoin as the foremost choice for, let me say this again. Now, if allocators want to outpace monetary debasement over most timeframes, bonds are not the place to be. He identified that Bitcoin as the foremost choice for portfolio reallocation against monetary debasement. This has entered the zeitgeist of not just all of us people that are way ahead of the curve already being involved in Bitcoin, already being involved in crypto in any fashion. Key players in the financial realm across the globe are starting to realize that Bitcoin is a meaningful and real world asset that you could use to fight against the mismanagement of funds globally, whether it's in the US, Argentina, Bolivia, the UK, doesn't matter. The way Bitcoin is programmed, the inflation halving every 210,000 blocks, AKA 3 years and 10 to 11 months. We can programmatically understand what the new supply or potential reduction in supply will be over time. Reduction in new supply, I should say. This is why it's so attractive. With the fixed total supply, why would you want to be in any other asset? Or be in other assets, but why and how could you not consider having this as a part of your portfolio, as a part of your strategy? Citing the vast difference between assets, returns, concerning money supply growth over the past 10 years, he highlighted Bitcoin's dominance with a staggering ratio of 8,598, followed by NASDAQ 109. Look at the difference between these two. Even if you don't understand what this metric means, look at the split between Bitcoin, how far it is outpacing the benefit and the benefit basis versus NASDAQ. S&P only 25, global equities minus 7.5. Risk-adjusted returns over multiple cycles. Look at this. Bitcoin. Next one, NASDAQ. Gold is even below that. So in a concluding statement, Kautz postulated, in the years ahead, it's conceivable that allocators begin to shift towards better debasement hedges. Bitcoin is an obvious choice. Moreover, he suggests that Bitcoin could support bonds, could supplant. Moreover, let me read this again. Moreover, he suggests that Bitcoin could supplant bonds by securing at least 1% of the traditional 60-40 portfolio. 60-40 portfolio is basically a very common investment strategy that mixes your portfolio allocations to risk and blue chip. So how do you really take on a smart investment strategy where you're diversifying in the types of asset you're holding? This is saying that he's suggesting a lot of people we might start seeing a shift for where people were holding bonds as a part of that hedge in their portfolio, securing, even if it's only 1%. So it's just good to know there. Now, next thing we want to talk about here, we're going to be doing, I'll say that in a second. Coinbase CEO Armstrong, Brian Armstrong, alerts 5G moment for crypto, tipping point. All this is just saying, all these different articles we're talking about today is just showing you how much is going on out there. From not only in the Bitcoin and digital space, but also in the traditional asset, at the water coolers, people diving into it. They're trying to figure out, okay, Bitcoin's here to stay, clearly. We're seeing FASB rules, the fair value accounting, allowing institutions and corporations to hold Bitcoin on their asset sheets, on their balance sheets, without it hurting their earnings because of just the ridiculous laws. We talked about this before. I don't want to go into it. Essentially, there's been rules that have been changed and amended to put Bitcoin in the same sort of accounting practices as you would with other stocks. Before, it was actually a detriment in a lot of cases to hold Bitcoin on your balance sheet because of the way the rules were. Now, we have the Bitcoin spot ETFs on the horizon, and we have everybody, the awareness of this. I listen to audiobooks all the time. In every audiobook I listen to, somehow there's some sort of inclusion of Bitcoin in the story. I mean, it's across all parts of our culture. And BlackRock, Larry Fink, Gary Gensler, government, it's in every aspect of our culture. And so this is something that's going to happen. I think where there's a general consensus and understanding from both sides of the aisle that this is an important issue. This is talking about, what's going on with regulations and lawmakers and what should be fair, what should be allowed, where the regulation and boundaries should be. This is an important issue. The Coinbase CEO reported, underscoring a widespread recognition of the urgent need to preclude potential damage to American interests and to prevent the industry's displacement offshore. What is he saying? CEO of Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, is saying that this is an important issue to not only debate, but actually come to some sort of action point, to have regulation, to have meaningful regulation that everybody is aware of, because if we do not do this, we are already falling behind here in America. America is way behind the ball right now compared to other countries globally. If we do not act now, blockchain, Bitcoin, the digital asset space as a whole is going to be built out and supported globally, whereas America is going to be sitting over in the corner wondering why we got left behind. Why did we get left behind? Because our government elected officials and then the committee bodies, the commissions, the SEC, the CFTC, Congress, House of Representatives, they did not act in accordance for what is best for America, which is staying involved in one of the most important technological evolutions of our time. Because blockchain and Bitcoin, altcoins, they all serve different purposes. But in every way, it's not just magic internet money that we're printing out of nothing that we can. Are there scams? Absolutely. There's also scams in any other facet of any industry in the world. So yes, we need regulation. But what we really need is clarity about what that regulation is so people can build businesses, can build communities, can understand what they're engaging with and what's okay and what's not okay so that we can move forward, because blockchain will be a part of every aspect of our life in the next 10 years. So it's important that we understand what those regulations are, what the guidelines are, so that we can build, so that we can stay in the conversation around the globe. Bitcoin doesn't need to absolutely replace the US dollar. In fact, it probably won't, at least in the next 15, 20 years. People need to, the government needs to stop being worried about limiting it so it doesn't happen. No, this is going to work in tandem with those things. And blockchain is going to be integrated with all the systems of our everyday life. Medical records being NFTs, housing deeds, marriage certificates. Legal documentation should not be printed. We talk about all this ESG nonsense, and I'm not saying saving the globe is not good. No, but the business around it is bullshit. If we cared about it, why do we still mail out bills for stuff? Why has that not been an initiative? Paper, storing, transporting. Blockchain is going to make all of that obsolete because we can upgrade it to a better system, a trustless system that is near instant with less cost of production and transport and storage, because those things don't basically cost anything on the blockchain. And you can store it and have your unique ability to have your individual secure documents or certificates or transactable money. I mean, this is the biggest advancement of the last 100 years and will affect the next 1,000. So I'm calling right now on the government. I'm calling right now on the SEC. I'm calling right now on regulators to stop with the petty bullshit. Stop with taking money from a bank to limit this, because whether or not that's happening is irrelevant. What can you do to come together to make sure that we can support the freedoms of people? Because we're supposed to be in a democratic republic here in America. We're supposed to be able to own things. Sure, okay, we'll have to pay taxes on some things. That's fine. You know what? Blockchain makes it easier for you because you can see all the things that have happened ever on a blockchain. That's what a blockchain is. So I urge you, if you don't understand it, don't create regulation around it. Open a damn book. Join BitLab Academy. Learn about blockchain. Learn about Bitcoin. Understand that the world has changed. And if we don't step into this, we are going to be absolutely left behind. And it's up to our government to make meaningful regulations and laws, not to limit people, but to empower people's ability to move forward. That's all I have to say on that. Sorry about the rant, but we have to talk about it. Now, let's kind of jump in last 10 minutes. Let's look at the charts. I don't even care about these other stories. Okay, Coinbase, we're going to have futures trading internationally, but not in the US, because Americans are not allowed to make money. You know, we're not allowed to make money and take risk because it's illegal to do that. But let's go ahead. I'm going to go down a rabbit hole there. I'm not going to do it. Okay. Dollar up. Dow Jones still breaking down. NASDAQ also breaking down. So let's go over to Bitcoin. Let's see. Let's do some TA on what we want to know, where the price is going today, if, when, where, what, why. That's what this is about. Shout out to everybody here in the room. We got 153 people. I want to see right now, we need to get over 125 likes right now. You're all watching. I'm sharing my heart and soul. I'm spending my time doing this for you. You're sitting there watching. I love you all. Engage with what you are participating in. That's how we move this community forward. So everybody hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about this. Where are we at? Let's delete this parallel channel. I'm going to come back down here to the BitGet thing. Again, hit that link up at the top of the pinned comment up at the very top of the, what was I about to say? Top of the live chat. If you have not signed up with the BitGet link right down below the video, sign up there and join our trading team on the KCGI trading competition. The team link is there pinned in the top of the comments. Join us there. Now we're going to look at, we'll end with Bitcoin. We'll start with ETH per Jeanette's request, because she's always in here. Big love to her. Ethereum making some moves, making some money moves. Okay, weekly, let's look at this really quick. Weekly, similar to Bitcoin with this rolling overness, we do have a new low here. So I'm very concerned on any sort of move to the upside here. That one, let's go ahead and adjust this. This is going to be a little bit more like that. This area is highly contentious. So on any move to the upside, I'm looking for here for a potential monetary and momentum strength for the bulls to actually push through this. If we're not seeing strength, if we're not seeing sort of signals of follow through, then I'm looking for a potential short for this to come down. So this is a weekly. We understand the context. Let's get down into the 4 hour and 2 hour. 4 hour. Yeah, we're making some moves there. Look at this. Came down, bounced, came down, bounced. Now we took out this high, which I really like because it very well could have pushed up here and, basically found resistance right at this high. It did not. It did push up. We do have a little bit of a wick here. We got 37 minutes left. That's on the 4 hour. Let's come down to the 1 hour. Okay. We are pushing up. I want to pay attention to this right here because this is basically finding resistance. Where? Right in this zone right here. Look at this. Right? We can move this. It doesn't matter anywhere in this zone. This is a low here. But if we go right here, we can see rejection here, bounce here, and look at what we got, the wick above and a little bit of a breakdown. And what we see is coming into this. You wonder if there's going to be a pullback soon. As this is pushing up, we see this pushing up. As this is pushing up, the stochastics have topped out here, and they're starting to rolling over already at this point, rolling over, meaning there's kind of strength coming out a bit. The RSI is kind of angled to the downside, as we can see right here. RSI angled to the downside. Here, as price is pushing up, this is telling me I'm looking for this candle to close with a little bit of a wick. Watch what happens with this next candle and see if there's any indication that this may just get a rejection and come down. As it stands right now, that's starting to look like what it's doing because we have the high here on this momentum wave. Now we're getting a little bit lower high here, and this is rolling over. A lot of buying volume, but this is not looking like it's going to continue up. We're going to have to wait a little bit. Let's go to a little bit smaller time frame. Come on, trend view. There we go. Yeah, there's attempted support here with this green bars here. I don't know if you can tell. There's all this white, green, white, green, white, green. There's a lot of underlying buying pressure. But with that, we're seeing that the strength indicators are kind of angled to the downside. The stochastics look like they're trying to roll over here. I would be watching for, let's turn on the BitLab intelligence. Look at that. We had stopping volume, breakdown. I'm looking right in here. Let's get back to the 1 hour. I'm looking right here for the trend signal line. If we do come down into this zone, find some support above 1623, wonderful. Especially, I would do it right here. You see this line? This line is outlined from what is going on with these two. It's populated on the chart based on the data set of seeing the stopping volume. So we have two kind of lines here. We can actually, rather than do two lines, we can just draw a little box, this little line, and then we get another line, which is why that's small. So we can kind of do this zone right here, which is also very in line with where this sort of top is. So if this comes down, doesn't mean it's fully rolling over. There's indication in the chart that there's an attempt to roll over. However, this very well could pull down like this, curve back out, and come back up, which would give it more juice to flow. So if we do get this push up, sell off, push up, sell off, launch, that'd be great. As it stands right now, I'm looking for this to hold above the 1625 region. If we lose this and come down into this 1617 zone, I worry that this is going to come down and find, basically test the low 1600s again. But because of everything going on, remember we still have the options expiry tomorrow. So I do think things are going to be still a little truncated. We need to pay attention to that and realize that if we do get a push up into that max pain zone, which is I think up here at the 1650 sort of region, if I'm not mistaken, I did not look at it today, which would make sense. If we're getting pushed up there, people get committed to going long only for it to reverse and you have your heart broken. Don't buy green candles. Buy pullbacks on upward trends or sell the top of green candles when you're having a relief rally in a downtrend. You have to remember that. So that's what I'm kind of seeing on ETH right now. That's what I'm seeing on ETH. Now let's go ahead and look at Cardano. Are you doing anything for me, baby? I'm deleting this chart. I hate that chart. There we go. No volume on it. All right. Yeah, this is looking very similar. We kind of have a little bit of a broadening wedge here. See, this is tight, getting wider, getting wider, getting wider. And this is, yeah, look at this. Rising broad, somewhat angled to the upside, broadening wedge. Yeah, Again, a holding pattern. This is me, a holding pattern. There's no clear signal on this. I'm even looking at the 1 hour. And if anything, this is telling me there's a high likelihood that this will find a rejection and come back to here, which is a pretty decent sized move. Not massive, but it's a 2% move. So don't get trapped in a bias either direction on this, because this is still kind of in a holding pattern. I would be waiting until we got up into this zone up here, which is where this head and shoulders is. Let's go ahead. Where is my volume? And look at that. We have all these levels right above us. Order block right here, order block right here. So there's a lot of work to do. I'm not ultimately for trading, smaller time frames. I am not bullish on this. For long-term positions into post-halving into 2025, anywhere in here is a wonderful long-term buy opportunity. If you're able to buy at these regions, knowing you have a 1.5 year timeline that you're looking to get out in a 1.5 years. If you're going to buy here because I said it's a good long-term buy, and then you sell when it comes right here only for it to bounce back up, then you can't mix the strategies you have based on your emotions. You need to make a strategy, understand your time horizon, and execute that and hold to it, or don't. Don't jump between a 15-minute strategy and a long-term opportunity strategy, because you're going to eat yourself alive. Coming down to algo, a lot of people were asking about algo yesterday. Look at that, inverted head and shoulders. So what would this be? Oops, where did I go? Inverted head and shoulders right here. So this would be, look at that target. Isn't it crazy how measured moves from somewhere right here give you right to where a known level is from previous price action? So the target here, if this does continue to the upside, it's breaking through the weekly VWAP right here. If we can continue moving up, so we have all this price action that's traded right here, which is going to be a roadblock for this. In fact, we could really just draw this out like this and see that this is a roadblock, because there's a lot of price memory right here where price action was trading. So coming into this zone, it might have a little bit of a hiccup and then continue, or it might roll over. As it looks right now on the 1 hour, the stochastics are still angled up. The RSI is starting to roll over, but we are getting less of an expansion here, because this is a 1 hour candle, right? 1 hour, this moved up this much. Second candle right here, this is starting to look like it's in process of forming a reversal candle. So we need to pay attention to that. Could be reversal, could be a bull flag, but right now we don't have enough clarity. The setup isn't there. So let's pay attention to that. AVAX, I don't think we looked at AVAX in the last couple of days. AVAX, let's look at a couple of different charts. Here we go. So pushing up, this is looking a little bit better than Ethereum was, because this is coming all the way up to this zone right here. We're not through it yet though. So this is getting, see, big candle, a little bit smaller. This is starting to show weakness coming into a level that had previous highs, and we have an order block right above us. So is everything pushing up, setting up for a huge sell-off after tomorrow's expiry? Stay tuned for more. With that, everybody, I love you. Make sure, if you want to learn how to read these charts, if you want to help contribute to this channel, great way to do that and be a part of the community, get in the Discord, is to head over to bitlabacademy.com. Join us here. We have all these different courses, as well as a premium Discord, which I've meant to bring up today. We've got so many different charts and setups and ideas, and little trading competitions and scalps. And NFT stuff. We've got so much going on in here, discussions and trading strategies. And we've got so much going on in here that you get access to when you join the BitLab All Access. If you come right here to enroll now, you get the BitLab All Access. I'm going to talk for a second, which also gives you all the courses, new and old, and right here. And you also get the premium Discord. If you want to get the premium Discord, all access to the courses and the indicators, BitLab Pro right here. This is bundled, so we reduced the price. It's about 30% off. But for both of these, you can use the Give Me 30 coupon. This is going to be expiring in about 2 days. So get in there, join us, be a meaningful part of our Discord as well. Help us. We're going to be moving some of the stuff we do for the direction of stuff we do on YouTube, and the coin call outs and some of the live chat I read. It's going to be moving to me reading Discord, so we can do it for our true community members that are helping keep our lights on. Big love for all of you. I love you. Everybody, stay tuned for more. And if you haven't yet, use that BitGet team sign up at the very top of the live chat. I love y'all. Make sure that you have a wonderful day. And I don't think I will be doing an afternoon stream today. I'll let you know if I am. But with that, everybody, have a good day. Adios. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always tuning in. Hit that like button, sucker.